Howdy friends, welcome back to the House of Tone. My name is Wes Lee. I'm a professional band instrument repair technician. I started a YouTube channel to show what my life is like in the trades. I appreciate you stopping by today. Well, we're going to have a couple of snow days, it looks like, in the Mississippi area. So I'm going to make a video so I can have something to do while I'm stuck at home. Means we're going to have a short shop week. That's good and bad. A little vacation. We're going to go play in the snow. I think that's going to be pretty awesome. Let's get to it. Let's make a video. So there have been some comments wanting to see more of the process and more of a taking you through an instrument, working all the way. And so, okay, cool. You want a really long video? We'll make a really long video. I got time today, as long as I don't get snowed in here. We've got this Cannonball saxophone, and I'll take you through it in just a minute. The client dropped it off a few weeks ago. We actually did have to order some parts. The good folks at Cannonball got those out to me, so we're good to go on this repair. Let's just jump right on into it, because my last video I was talking about some things, being small and lean. If you have a really small shop, the way you could do things, and that's also going to incorporate another step of that in this video. Let's have a look at this. Okay, this is a Cannonball Raven. The Stone series. And right here you can see what the big deal is here. This big dent. Also took a spill. Right here you can see the flat as I roll it through the light. Let's get the light to catch it right there. See that? Yeah, that's a good shot of it right there. The bell, so it took a lick this way and then fell here. So like dink, bunk, and then the bell keys do not close. See that? Now we'll see more when I put the light in it. But this is the real big reason that it came in, missing the stone. Now I thought it would be kind of fun to see what the instrument is playing like before we start making a repair, right? What is it doing? What was the final thing that it was doing before it just completely quit, right? Just runs aground right there. Does not play well. I'm really overcompensating for it off the beginning. Tone quality may be kind of suffering because it's picking up through the lav mic. I'm really struggling just playing a C. Yeah, so it really loses it at G. And F it jumps to the upper octave. And then at C, low C sharp. Okay, so that's what we got. That's our bass line. Plays terrible. Let's drop a light in it and go through it and see what we can see. And let's start with high F sharp. Sorry, I bumped the camera. See how, let me zoom in. High F sharp is wanting to stay open. It's not, so it's binding in the posts. Okay, while we're here, let's go ahead and grab high E. That's okay. Flip it over. Let's check the high F sharp again from that side. Okay, that's good. High E. Yep, it's about right. Okay. So now we'll check the palm keys. This is palm F. Oh, we got something. See the north side of this? See that? That's wanting to hang open. Oh, look at that. right here. That's a sure enough leak. So this is what I was really having to play over. I was just overcompensating to get around that. Our player has been dealing with that too. That is a major leak. Okay, so that explains what that was. All right, E and D, those are both good. Okay, I can't get you into C, but the high C key, I'm bouncing my finger, but there's no bounce in the key. If I add to play a B, the key bounces. It's hitting in the back before it's hitting in the front. Okay. This is how you would finger C, right? Okay, and so we're going to make our adjustment check. That's good there. Yeah, so we've got, closes the B flat, but that guy there leaks. Okay, add G. So now this is our upper stack. G is okay. So we have this leak that you can really see here. We've got this key is bent and a leak here. Let's look at the lower stack. Oh, let's check the operation of the G sharp or A flat key. That's good. Cannonball does a wonderful design on having a helper spring for the A flat, so that's really nice. They do a good job with that. Okay, right hand. Yep, F. Remember, it was jumping up to the octave. There we go. But actually, this palm F here was acting as an octave key for this note. But this one is definitely leaking down here. Continuing. Yeah. Yep, let's check the F sharp. Chromatic F sharp. That's good. Oh, look at that. The E flat key is nowhere close. Oh my, all the way around. Look at that. So it's not hung up on the key guard. There's space between the key guard, but this is clearly leaking. So something has happened. Looks like it hasn't been seating for quite some time. This is our dent and the guard. This is our low C sharp down on the bell. Coming around, we're down to the B key. Yep, that's way off. We knew that was way off. And then B flat. Yeah. So the bell keys are way off. There's our flat spot in the bell rim. So that's what we got going on. I'm going to take this guard as well as the bell guard. The E flat and C will come off. The C sharp will come off, and the bell keys will come off. All that will be disassembled. That way, when I go to heat everything, I won't have to worry about burning pads or anything. I use powered screwdrivers whenever I can. Miss K has a smaller one. It's probably the diameter of the neck cork, and it works great. It has a lot of torque. It's called the Wow Stick. She really likes it. It works very well for her. I do not like it. It's too small. It's like holding my pinky. My issue with a lot of the screwdrivers that are available in the band instrument market, repair market, the handles are too skinny. And guys like me who just beat with our hands all the time, I like something bulkier. I also like it powered. This one's got all the torque that I want. I put an extender on it, and then I grind my own bits. The number one thing that I see out of folks that have tried to work on their instrument is that they use the wrong screwdrivers. You want your screwdrivers to be tight. Let me say that again. This is a size 1. It is a small screwdriver. There are many sizes of this. This screw that holds the bell key on, or the screws that are the adjustment screws here, this screwdriver bit, or if you had a screwdriver that had this kind of a point, is wrong. It tears up the screws. It flares them out. It cuts the heads off. It's the wrong thing. This is a size 1, an S1 flathead. If you load it into the slot, you have all of this play. That's no good. This screwdriver bit is a 7/32. It doesn't fit. It's just slightly oversized. What happens then is that it kicks out. For these screws, this is the size. It's a 3/16. Minimum amount of play, maximum amount of torque. And I know what you're saying. You're like, Wes, are you really talking to me about screwdriver blades? Yeah, I am. Because it's the number one thing that I see that's torn up on horns that someone in the private sector has been working on. I've even seen it out of other shops. People will just grab a screwdriver. Any old screwdriver will work. It doesn't have to be the right size or the right thickness. The blade, they just grab whatever and then they tear off the head, or they create more work for me on the other side. And as a technician, it's an annoyance more than anything else. Since it happens so often, it has to be then that the person didn't know that was using the screwdriver. I'm just putting it out there. Use the right width screwdriver, okay? Let's go. But I've also found that I've been buying these blank bits in the different sizes, and then I'll grind my own to fit the pivot screws or the hinge rods or whatever on the instrument because I like what it gives me. Because there's just a whole lot of torque on a full size like this, and I'm not using my wrists. When I'm at an angle, I will break it with my hand. You see me cover it with my finger. I'm pushing, holding the blade of the screwdriver. I'm holding it like this, back it out. Same thing over here. I'm going to come in at a little bit of an angle. I don't want to hit the C-sharp key and mess up anything about it. I'm going to pop the guard off. Now, here is something. The rod is already partially backed out of this C-sharp. Typically, that will indicate that there's some kind of problem with the hinge tube. So we'll make sure that we pay attention to that and note it. Have you seen these baby Canipics? These are so cool. I use these all the time. I really like them. I'm going to put the hinge rod back in. Okay, it didn't have a problem screwing into the post, so if there's an issue, it's going to be on the hinge tube of the key. A lot of dust and debris, but I don't see any visible dents or damage on the hinge tube itself. But we will make a note of that. All right, let's go ahead and get the C key off. On this instrument, the E flat and the C keys are separate and they're held on with pivot screws, so I will not be taking the E flat off. On the Cannonballs, they use two sizes of key guard screw, a long one and a short one. So you have 2 long ones on your wings and a short one in the center. And that's the way they are on all of their guards. Let's move over to the solder bench, and we're going to get this guard off, and then we can see what else we got to get going. So you can notice that I put the C guard, I immediately put it back on. As I'm going to heat up this guard, I don't want to lose this foot. And there's going to be a lot of heat, and I've got to dispense it over a long area. I'm using the Big Shot Blazer torch for this. Just like taking the guard off of anything. Always be mindful of where your heat is and what you're heating. The hottest part of the flame is the point. There we go. Get that guy to lift up. There we go, it's coming. Now we have to clean off all the solder. We're going to heat and wipe this. You've watched me do this a million times. Okay, we'll let that cool. Hopefully the suction wasn't too loud while I was trying to get this out. So here you can really see the damage that is the body guard right there. And there's no way to fix that. That can't be repaired the way it's all dented in and jagged. So it really is more simple to just replace that. Now, the matters at hand, this is our body dent. And it's not so bad. Sorry, I keep bumping the camera. Well, we wish we had Ms. K here, don't we? But yeah, this is pretty solid. I went ahead and buffed the solder, the tinning from this area. And looks like that may be the seam. That really took a shot there. But we're going to hammer tap, we'll take a chasing hammer, and we're going to smooth all of this out, and then we'll decide how we're going to remove the dent. So these are polymer. The reason that I'm thinking of these is because there's going to be limited amount of finish work that I will be able to do to this instrument. That's working like a champ. So I can basically lay this crown back down, and I'm not messing up any of my finish. Okay, so now I want to talk about shop space and size. I am basically 20 feet away from you. This is the same size of space that I had when I was still working out of my garage. This is my new space, right? So everything that was crammed into my garage kind of got spilled over into the new place and then into this space as well. My full Z, the mini Z. There's a vise that's off camera, and then let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 vices in this space. Now there's multiple reasons that I have 5 vices in this space. None of them are bolted down, they're clamped on, or they've got platforms, or this one is mounted to wood, and I can move them around. And I do that because I will set up for a job run. So that's the most important thing to me. However, if I were starting out and doing it again, I would not have dropped the super huge money on 1, 2, definitely 2 of those, definitely that third one too, so 3 of them. Okay, that's about a third of the way to paying for this. Remember we were talking about budgets last time and talking about you got to get creative with your budget and where you can cut and where you can go. I figured out that I can make this into 2 vices in a lot of scenarios. And I'm going to be diving in on more of that later. These vise stands are really nice. I didn't think that I would care for this one too much. It's a telescoping one. Screws up, screws down. I love it. What's more is while I like a high working height, Miss Kay does not. And my son, who comes in and works with us on occasion, he does not. He likes a lower working height. So that's something, if you're in a multi-person shop or you're going to have a multi-person shop, that is something to consider, right? Not the only consideration, but it is something to consider. Why am I telling you all that? Because ordinarily, I would be grabbing a rod and I would be clamping it in a vise. That's what you've seen in almost every video that I've done, right? But we figured out a way to make the Z into a vise as well. Of course, they have their V-block attachment, but the really long rods, this is one that they make. This is called the Z6022 rod. What's great about this is it's got the business end for all the slug attachments that go, and it's got a threaded end. And it's 4 feet long. So that means if I want to work out here with a ball, I can do that, and I don't have to use the Z. But it's still a vise attachment. Gives me great strength. If I want to put it in and use the quill, I can do that. Don't have to take it out of a vise, put it in another vise. Don't have to set two things up, can set one thing up. That's pretty big, okay? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to use this long rod. I want to see if I can push on that dent. I'm going to go back, reaching again for the frictionless balls. There's a reason I'm reaching for the frictionless first on this, and I'll show you. On the Cannonballs, this polish goes all the way down. And I know it's not really picking it up on the camera right now, but this is a line of sight that you can see from the top, and I don't want to see any marks there. So I'm going to try and see if I can just push this out using this. Okay, and here we go. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to make the outside finished area. When I roll that, I don't want to see any kind of humping or flattening out, so that when I put my guard on there, you will never really be able to tell that it was damaged. And the guard did its job. Still got a little bit of dent there I'm going to have to go back and get. The premise of buying a tool that is expensive, but being able to use it in so many different ways where it's of so much value to you, that it really, you like go, man, how did I get along without this? And that's kind of what I've been going through lately myself. I don't have back problems, but I could tell that I was headed there. Shoulder problems. I do have wrist problems. I can't do my push-ups on the floor anymore like I used to. I can't push my wrist back. So I started to take very proactive things, you know, the bigger screwdrivers that are powered, and grind my own bits. Yeah, it takes time away from the bench, but it's taking care of my body. I'm not taking any pills. I'm not going to see a doctor or something like that. It's something that I can change what I'm doing. And that's more important to me. You know, a buddy of mine sent me one of those reels, and it was like, you know, don't skip leg day. And that's it. You don't skip leg day. You do the work every day. And you find tools that will help you do better work and help your body. That's huge. And I'm sure some of the techs that have been doing this for 40 and 50 years, so they're almost 20 years to my senior, and when they start commenting about not using brute force and using leverage and getting a bigger hammer, yeah, sometimes you got to get a bigger hammer. Now there's another tip of what I did here, in that I only removed the solder back to about here. The reason that I did that is because that the solder on the brass, the tinning, is so much harder than brass. It's crazy. I don't know why. Some metallurgists can chime in and say why. I don't know. But what I do know is that this area that I worked that did not have it, I did not want the ball to punch and blow out and flare out anything back here. Yes, I could have hammer tapped it back down, but I do not want to change this area. The area, the shape of the bow, and the way that the undisturbed denting of it so that the air flows properly. This is a key portion on the instrument. And so I want to go out of my way to really try to make sure everything is round and back to where it is. I've had old saxophones where we did a rebound strike to get these dents out because they were so hard, but on these modern horns, there's no way you can do that. If you were to start rebounding on this horn, you're in for some serious trouble. It's going to get away from you fast. The brass just is not that hard on these. New guard mounts up perfect. I got a great fit on my parts. I'm going to go ahead and add my flux. The solder that I use for this job is going to be 50-50 solder. It's a solid wire. And I'm going to tack it in a couple of spots. And once I've got that tacked, then I'm going to run some lines. This is a propane flame. There's plenty of heat for what we're doing. Let that cool off, and then we'll neutralize the flux. Now, if you've watched some of our other videos, you'll know that I use different types of solder, whether it's a 50-50, a 60-40, or even a 70-30, which the 70-30 I use on silver horns because it's a white solder. And when this line where you did your solder joint, it's different than the factory line because they sprayed it after or plated it after they did all the solder work. Well, you have interrupted that process. By using a 50-50 wire, in about 6 months, this is going to turn a dull gray color. So it's really going to blend in with the saxophone body. However, it's shiny today, and I don't want it to be shiny today. So I'm going to take just a little bit, the tip of a Sharpie, and I'm going to come in and wipe it on and immediately rub it. And what that will do is it will not look like you drew on it with a Sharpie, but it's going to blend in that solder. So it's not going to jump out to the client or to anybody. And then by the time that little bit of Sharpie on the crack there wears away, the solder will have turned gray and really blend back in. I wish I could take credit for that, but some old timer along the way showed it to me. And now I'm showing it to you. I think it really came into play when some of those horns that were black lacquered, like bright lacquer, in the 80s and 90s. You have a problem, you have to figure out how to fix it. And this was a wonderful way to do that. And that was that. And I'll bring you outside repair. Looks great. Looks really great. Our customer's not going to know. That means that's the stuff. So we're going to set our bell on here, and you can see where the hump is right there. Using a rubber mallet, you can use the fleshy part of your knee and just let it drop. Just like you do a trumpet bell. And on these, it really does not take much to move them. So I don't need a hard mandrel in this situation to pound against. Really just the weight of this hammer says this is a 12 ounce. And just letting it drop, kind of acting like a dead blow, right? Just boom, boom, just let it drop in that area. And then we'll check it again. So we're good to go on that. Now, there was a little bit of a flat spot left here. You can actually see it right here. The way that the light line grabs to you in the camera. So it comes down, boom, right there. I can feel it with my finger. And so for that, I'm going to take a plastic roller. And once again, it just does not take much pressure. So again, talking about working small in a small space. Today, basically, we've been working in, that's 4 foot wide, and this is 6 foot long. And then an area to hold your tools, pretty small. We did go to a soldering area, but I could have done that at the bench. In the old days, that's what I did. I just had a benchtop ventilation, and I would just pull it out when I was doing soldering. So if you're in a small space, does not mean that you can't have some really cool tools, and think about the way that you're using them. Okay, so there's our bell repair. Beautiful. There's our dent repair and new guard installed. All right, fresh cup of coffee to sit down at the bench. It's the way I like to run things. Okay, let's see. What are some other common questions that I get? My hot air station. A lot of folks ask, where is this the Music Medic? And no, I did not have the Music Medic money when I was looking to get them. This does not have all of the features that their machine does, but it is a solder rework station. Got it off of Amazon a few years ago. One thing that I really like about it, it's got the speed of the air. So that's the flow, and then a digital gauge. I know on saxophones, I know where I like it to be. One of the other things that I really like about this is that if you turn it this way, it will start coming down. However, if you want to hold it to do a pad, you can turn it another way. So anyway, that's a feature that I really like on this one. I have another one in the main shop. It's a much lower profile. It's actually just a box, and I can Velcro the holder anywhere I want it to be. It's two pieces. I'll show a shot of that next time I do a video over there. Remind me. We made a note that our F sharp was off a little bit. It just felt sluggish. Now let's see if that is sluggish because there's no oil on it. Yep. So we'll go ahead and get some key oil on him. All the various places that the mechanism hits. Yeah, that's all that was. Okay, let's tighten him back up. Great. Okay. And then we had the issue with the Palm F. I believe that the Palm F is not making contact because there is no lost motion on the F rocker. And once it starts hitting on that side, the key is actually bent. Another thing I love about these Canipics, this is the larger pair, is that you can set it to the width of your key arm, and it will not squeeze down any closer. And that is huge for me because it doesn't mark the key at all. We used to have to take other steps in order to protect the keys. Now, I'm a little shy on our front side. So the premise of what we're doing here is we're heating up the shellac that is holding the pad in, but we're doing it in a very specific area, whereas a torch is going to do the entire key. We're only wanting to affect one spot. So we're just going to bring that guy in and down. Yep. Most excellent. Now I also had decided that I didn't like the spring tension on this key. And so I'm going to actually take this key off. This key was starting to get some buildup of rust as well. So one cool thing that they have on these Cannonballs is here in the rib plate, they have a cutaway. The flat spring will dig into the brass on there. And so what I like to do is to kind of clean that out of the way and then take and put some grease, just a dab, on the end of the flat spring. And that way, when I put it, it rubs on that grease and it's nice in the track. Oil going in. And now you can see that we have a little bit of motion in this F rocker, right, from over here. So that's good. So now our key should be laying back down where we want it to be. And yes, that's confirmed. So that problem is taken care of. We decided that the B key here was bouncy. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to touch on the adjustment screw. And we're going to back it off just a little bit. Now our B closes the way we want it to. Remember how it was bouncy before? There's none of that bounce now. Bounce is only in my finger, and we want to check. But look, I opened it too much because the vent is open. So we're going to go back. We're going to compromise my amount. My B is good. Just a little bit more. Now the Cannonballs are known for having loose pivot screws. And they can be a challenge sometimes. Because they will want to rattle. Now I know that you probably cannot see between the F rocker hinge tube in the bottom of that tone hole, but can you see how the vent key is thicker on the sides and in the front is sunken up into? That is a problem. We need that to come out and be a little more proud. That'd be it. And you can hear the pop. It wasn't doing anything remotely like that before. The A, the B flat, and then the vent key up top. Now, what we can notice is that the vent key up top is not closing. The B flat is closing and the A is not closing. So we're going to come in, we're going to hold down on the A, and we're going to lightly flex to the B flat actuator. That arm is common to get bent. Now we come in and check it. B flat is good, A is good. Now we deal with the C on the vent up top. So if you're fingering C, that's you're fingering for C. You're actually closing the A, the B flat, and then the C vent. The C note plays through this. Gets confusing, I know. Quarter turn. We come back and check everything. And this is how I do 100% of everything. I'm looking at it with a light, and then I'm checking for bounciness as I go. I want to check for bounciness of the B flat. I'll check for bounciness of the A. You want to go out of your way to not be lying to yourself. I also always do it with my finger in the air, never with my hands clamped down on something. I want to be like I'm playing a piano. And so I have a little bit, see, still, if you let your hand do what your hand wants to do, it's going to tell you that you're not right. You just come up, we're going to make a little push. Now let's see if I can illustrate that a little bit better. if I use a pad slick to be my finger, okay, and then I close this A key here, what I'm flexing up on is the actual key pearl that holds, that pushes down for the B flat adjustment. So I'm coming through here, and I would want to, if this were my finger, I would hold down the A key and I would flex up here. So I just replaced that pad slick with my finger, and it's nothing more than that. It's a very delicate motion. And you know it's right when it starts popping. We didn't have that in the horn at all before, remember? So we got, now it's playing notes. Okay. One of the reasons I left the bell key off was because that the G sharp will just stay hanging open on its own. When you close the F sharp key, let's turn this around. When you close this F sharp key, it will not only close F sharp, but it will close the A flat, the G sharp, and the B flat. So you can check all of those adjustments. It's really easy to do when you don't have the lever on there. So you can close this. Obviously, G sharp is not closing. And then we can move up to the B flat. Obviously, the B flat's not closing either. So none of those are closing. Let's make those adjustments. We're going to do the B flat, the G sharp first. So it was a lot. So I'm going to give it a couple of turns and to see where we start at. No, see, I've got to do more. I did 2 full turns. All right, that's starting to get in there. Nope. Another half turn. Nope. Quarter turn. Okay. Now we want to check that the F sharp here is closing, and then we'll flip the horn around. That's your F sharp. That's your G sharp. You can see that it's opening a little bit. Give it a little bit more. Okay. Now that's our B flat up there. Let's give that a half turn. Okay. Just a little bit more. If you'll remember other videos where I've said firstly, I've said first, second, and then instead of saying tertiary, I'd say thirdly. So the B flat is the thirdly, the tertiary closing. So this would be your primary close. Well, actually, if you were playing F, it would be primary closing is the F key, secondary closing is the F sharp key, thirdly closing would be the G sharp key, or thirdly, and then fourthly. So we got fourthlies in these. What you think about that, Miss Kay? Fourthly. Is that the word? Fourthly? primary, secondary, tertiary, quadrupledary? What is the word for that?
Quaternary.
Quaternary. Not ordinary, but quaternary. Thank you, Miss Kay. She's always learning me. So moving on, so we have our B flat, and I'm actually going to go a little bit more. On the B flat, I do want to see maybe a touch of bounce. I want it to close all the way, but it will have the lightest amount. So now I can see that the leather is just engaging and the light is off. That's what I want to see. Okay, and then finally down here we had our F key. Let's flip around to the back and see if F is loose, is lit up in the back all over. So we're going to start with an adjustment screw issue. Going to back that out a little bit. And now we've got, that was just a simple adjustment screw. So all of those are down. F sharp, F, E, D. So those are all good. Everything is good there. Now, because Cannonball is known to have loose screws and we've already adjusted that, I'm going to put some fingernail polish. I'm going to go ahead and put that on to let it hold everything in place so our adjustments don't get away from us. And it will dry while we're working. Okay, now we have to deal with that E flat key. What in the world is going on here? The geometry is that the back of the pad cup is lifted up and the front is down. The key guard has been bent. On the Cannonballs, these key guards should be straight. I'm going to use a little bit of leather. Tap the back side of the key arm. Do a little more. A little bit easier when you're doing an overhaul and you've got the keys off. Yeah, boy, somebody really did a number on that key guard. And see, they broke off the side of the key guard right there. I don't know if I noticed that earlier. This side has both sides.
Oh, yeah.
And this side is broken off. And I saw that the key just has a little bit of just needs a little bit of love down here. Get it reset. The leather is not old. I think our players had problems playing this for a long time, actually. It's probably been struggling. You heard that famous needle, the banjo needles. Man, that's why I'm wearing these gloves. Okay, we've got that taken care of. So now, let's check it. Remember, it wasn't doing that at all before. Bell keys are on. Now, the last thing that we were going to talk about on the Cannonballs, they add this helper spring to the bottom. Because everybody that plays saxophone knows that the A flat or G sharp key gets stuck. It's a closed key. E flat gets stuck with all the goop and grime on there. And yes, they do make some products now that you can put in and will raise these keys. But when these were built and engineered, those aftermarket accessories did not exist. So the way that the G sharp works is this is the main lever, you touch piece, you kick the main lever down, it's sprung closed. The actual G sharp key itself is sprung open. So when you touch this down and you rotate this, then the counter spring of the G sharp comes up and then it closes it all back down. What Cannonball came up with was this helper spring. So it just acts as a little bit of a kicker to help get a lift, and their keys don't stick. So it's really pretty cool system that they do. Okay, we are down to it. Our bell, remember? The bell is held on with these 3 screws, this brace, which has been weight relieved with their cool logo. This is all modern horns. And then it's epoxied on right here. You can do anything and it will bend the bell. What I'm about to show you, do not just do this on your, if you're not a tech, don't just do this. If you're a tech, you've seen this operation. But we're actually just going to bump the bell and then put it back into place. Come across, bump the bell like that. Puts the bell right back in place. I take a little contact cement, put it on the horn. I'm going to use the heat gun to kind of help speed the process up today. Because it's getting snowier and snowier out there, I best be getting out of here. I have at this point gone ahead and sent Miss Kay on her way. I think we are going to pretend that we're at a Montana lodge, and we have a chair, and we're going to face it at the sliding glass door, and we're going to watch it snow. She'll probably turn a campfire on the TV. Drop it in. And there we go. It's all done. This one is good to go. Well, all right. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with me today. This saxophone came out great. I'm really happy about it. I know our client's going to be really pleased as well. I hope that some tips that I gave you on thinking about a shop space, like I'm thinking about my shop space, will help you in your journey and save your body and get the tools that will really work for you and really elevate your work to the next level. That's really what it's all about. There are products coming online, tools that just help us so much, that can just elevate. Ferree's tools, they've had the Z60 stuff for a long time. So I appreciate you hanging out at the shop with me today, going through this saxophone. I tried to be as detailed as I could. I really appreciate Ms. Kay for stopping by for a little while on our way home while we get tucked away for the snow incoming. So we're going to be out of the shop probably for a couple of days. We appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate the support as always. This is Wes Lee signing out.